Coming up on the Retirement Halftime Show, we're asking, when is the right time to take Social Security? The pros and cons of cashing out immediately or waiting until 70. And Butler's head basketball coach, Thad Mana, shares his secret for the second half of the game when the team already has the lead. The coaching advice could help your retirement plan. And digging into conventional loans for mortgages, discover the benefits and drawbacks. Plus, the basics of creating an estate plan. It's not just for the rich and famous. Now, on the Retirement Halftime Show.
The best coaches improve your game. Work with the best financial coach in the game. Alexander Joyce and Rejoice Financial can get your retirement game plan in order. Call 317-903-9157 to schedule a visit now.
You wouldn't play a game the second half the same way you would the first, especially if you have the lead. This is the Retirement Halftime Show, helping you maintain your lead in retirement.
Welcome to the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm Heather McWilliams, and joining us is Alex Joyce with Rejoice Financial. Today we're talking about Social Security, and in this day and age, there are a lot of people who are reaching retirement age. They're close, but they're wondering, should I take this money early because they need it?
Yeah. Social Security's tough. Probably 7 or 8 years ago, I went out and studied and got this designation called an NSSA, which stands for National Social Security Advisor, and it was a very difficult test. Listen, I've failed more exams than I have passed in this industry, and that was a tough one. But anyway, all to say this in 5 minutes, that Social Security should not be taken in a vacuum, and Social Security should be considered with an overall income plan.
Okay. Yeah. Plan is key.
Plan is key. It is a part of an income foundation. Mm-hmm. And so such as pension, Social Security equals, let's just make it simple and say 30,000.
Okay.
And then let's say that over in this hand, you've got 30,000 as your pension, Social Security. Over here, you have your lifestyle. Mm-hmm. 30,000 here, lifestyle equals $100,000 a year. Right. So you've got $70,000 in between there in this gray area that you have question about fulfilling, making your lifestyle whole. And so when considering Social Security, I think also, and I said this, people should consider 3 things: the need for income, your personal health, and your longevity.
Okay.
Right? Longevity, such as the railroad worker that waited till 70 to take his Social Security. He passed away, got called home at 71, and gave it all back. And so eventually, these 2 things do cross. Mm-hmm. The question really is, and the math says that take less for longer.
Okay.
Or more for shorter.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Actuaries have that figured out, we hope, right?
Okay.
But eventually those 2 things cross. Mm-hmm. Now, strategy in terms of optimization strategies or maximization strategies, of course, these things have begun to close a little bit, but there still are opportunities to make your Social Security decisions more efficient. Things still people don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think that by working with us, being an expert when it comes to Social Security from A to Z, right? Not just the filing process, not looking at your earnings, not making sure the math is correct by the administration or your local, the advice that you got from your local office.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, that's incorrect, by the way. But making sure that we're making proper decisions and making data-driven decisions as opposed to just saying, you know what, this is mine, I paid into it my whole life, and I'm ready to take it now.
Right.
There's penalties and taxation behind that.
Okay.
Right? I mean, you can literally give away 25% of your income, Social Security income, by filing at 62. And the question is, for how long? And the answer is forever.
Okay.
Right? 62, you keep working, most people, and now they still make a higher wage than Social Security, get their Social Security, gave away 25%, and now they're giving away $1 for every $2 they make.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Can you work at the same time?
You certainly can, but you're going to give it back.
Okay.
Right? You're going to give the money back. Now, again, a lot of people, there is a very large percentage of the public in our country, of course, that goes ahead and they file for Social Security at 62 because they think they deserve the money. Not always the wisest. There also is, Heather, those that defer taking Social Security, right? And then they fill that gap with their assets. Let me tell you this. Sometimes people go ahead and defer their Social Security till 70 when they needed it at 62, but take distributions out of their assets to make their lifestyle whole in order to maximize Social Security.
Right.
Right or wrong? Don't know yet.
Okay.
Right? I don't know the person.
Yeah.
It definitely depends on everybody's situation and circumstance.
Okay.
Generally, speaking, right? No recommendations in this show. Generally speaking, when the market is down and you're buying down assets, when at 20%, right? So if you take out 6 and you're losing 20, well, you're pretty much outliving your money.
Right.
In order to maximize your Social Security benefits and projecting out in the future that you'll spend the money. Not always the wisest, but hey, listen, we'll cross those tracks when we meet with the family and make sure it's the right and appropriate recommendation and give good advice.
Real quick though, is there flexibility in that decision?
You know, once you take Social Security, you mean, and then once you've had it for a year, we're done. You know, it's the administration in our policy anymore is not as loose as it used to be. Kind of like Roth IRA. Do a Roth IRA, you file, there's no reduce.
Right.
Used to be, I'll pay it back. Sorry about that. Didn't know what I was doing. Here's this, here's that. It's gone, right? So these are permanent decisions that we need to get right and take into consideration and get good advice the first time.
And of course, it all depends on the individual. That's where you guys come into play. What is the best way if somebody wants to get an appointment with you?
That's a great question. And it is all about the individual, right? They should just call, right? I mean, it's just really that easy. Call, text us, get the conversation started. It doesn't cost a penny. We're just looking to see if we can add value and change your life.
And it's never too soon or too late to start.
That's not.
Great information, Alex, as always. And make sure you stick around. We have a whole lot more coming up.
Coming up next, Butler's basketball coach shares his secret to success on the court and in the financial markets. Why he says putting in the work is worth it all in the end. And shopping for a mortgage can get confusing quickly. We're breaking down the myths of a conventional mortgage. And estate plans aren't just for the rich and famous. Why everyone needs one. Coming up next on the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by the experts at Rejoice Financial. Schedule a no-cost, no-obligation visit today by calling 317-903-9157.
The journey to retirement takes many twists and turns. Don't take that trip alone. Let the team at Rejoice Financial be your co-pilot. The expert team of financial planners can create a roadmap that gets you to your goals. They'll work with you to create a financial plan that gives you confidence and peace of mind. Start the process today. Call 317-903-9157 or text 707-REJOICE. Rejoice in your retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by Rejoice Financial.
Planning to win. Coaching strategies for financial success. Here's Alexander Joyce and Butler University men's basketball head coach, Thad Matta.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm your host, Alexander Joyce, and with me today is Thad Matta. We're here. And our theme, of course, just like all of our shows, is you wouldn't play a game the second half the same way you would the first, especially if you've got the lead. So, I mean, who best to tell us, right? Going into the second half of a game, the energy, momentum, adrenaline, right? I mean, everything is right there, buzzer beater. How does that feel? I mean, tell us a little bit about the strategy behind that.
Well, I think, so much of it is the preparation leading into the game.
Sure.
And I think anytime you go in, with a lead at halftime, you're looking at all the things that you did well, that you wanted to do well. And just sort of recapping and saying, look, these are, we guarded these actions really well. Here's the things that we didn't do particularly well. We want to clean this up. Knowing everybody's going to make adjustments at halftime.
Sure.
But I think one of the biggest things I've learned is you adjust your system. You don't create a system at halftime. You just sort of fine tune what you've worked on all the way up to this point. And, as we always say to our guys, trust the system. And knowing when you have a lead, obviously that team's going to come out and they're going to try to throw some punches. And,
sure.
And we'll tell our guys, we're going to have to withstand some runs and keep the focus on what we've done well to this point and continue to do it well. And let's make sure we get the adjustments down.
Absolutely. I mean, that's crucial, right? I mean, you touched on not creating the system,
right?
I mean, trust in the process, trust in the everything leading up to that point. And if you as you mentioned, fundamentally, all the pieces that you've built are there. Right. And if the confidence and the trust is there to get to that win, because I mean, coach, that's what it is, right? It's all about the win. Nobody does this to come in second. You know what I mean? I mean, you put in the effort and you build the processes around you, and you coach, you being the head coach of this program, I mean, you coach your team accordingly. Tell me a little bit, because I mean, with our practice, obviously the concept is different, right? I mean, you're coaching your players, your team, you're building that. They trust that, right? They have confidence in that. And there's a lot of adrenaline, a lot of energy that goes into that, of course. And it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, I mean, with this team, we started in June. And I've been coaching now for 25, 26 years probably.
You know, and some of the I mean, your reputation speaks for itself, right? Those who know, and we were just talking about that. You know, for me, it's like our clients, you know, we're coaching. I'm coaching. I guess it's me, right? I own the firm. So I am there and I'm coaching the team and I'm coaching my clients because with us being a very focused and well-practiced, well-rounded, holistic firm. And many people ask, you know, what does that mean, holistic? Some of my clients call it a one-stop shop. And so for us, that means, you know, we're doing tax planning, tax filing, estate planning, building trusts, building wills. You know, somebody comes in with an old dusty trust. We're probably blowing the dust off of it and shredding it and creating new ones, doing business valuations, LLCs. And so, you know, for many people, we call it a mountain concept. When you're climbing this mountain, a lot of adrenaline, a lot of energy goes into that. Accidents don't happen on the way up. They do, seldomly, if you will, but the deaths really occur on the way down. And so, really the focal point is, you know, when you get near that top, and I think it's really, for me, right, it's really interesting, or the hard part is to paint the picture of where people are in this process. That way we can create a realistic plan, right? Accountability goes into that. But once we've created this plan and we have something to execute or something to really fight for, we know what the end goal is. And then, of course, you being the coach of this well-rounded and of course, awesome team. I mean, I was going to call them your clients, your members, right? Your players. They got to feel that. Right. I mean, they got to vibe with that, and they have to believe in, so they can see it, to be able to seize it. Right. I mean, so kind of walk through the culture of what that looks like.
Well, I've always said this. I think, you know, we play the exact same game. We just wear different uniforms.
Sure.
And I think it's getting a group of people, and for me, it's our team, to understand the process and understand the, you know, putting in the minute detail work eventually pays off in the grand scheme of things.
Doesn't it?
And I think that's what, you know, I've been fortunate to coach some really, really great basketball teams, and guys seem to have an understanding in terms of the process of getting better. And you know, I said this the other day. You know, I had a team at Ohio State one time. We were number 1 in the country. We started 24-0, and we had really good young guys and we had veterans. And the veterans were able to bring the young guys along in terms of understanding, hey, this is why we're doing this. Because a lot of times, as the boss, the coach, they can get tired of hearing you say that. And so when you have that continuity, you have that flow of understanding, you know, just the process. I think the other thing is getting guys to enjoy the process and celebrating small victories.
That's true. Yeah, celebrate the wins.
Yeah, and you know, just from the standpoint of things that you know, we're going in practice today, and there's 3 things defensively we got to get better at, and there's 3 things offensively, and so we'll show them we're not doing it well. We'll go out, we'll drill it, and then we'll go live with it. And as that stuff starts to come together, I think that the other thing that's very important as the leader, as the coach, is you got to know what to look for.
Yeah,
you got to know what to what's important, and you know, I think so many times, and you got to be true to yourself in terms of, hey, this isn't my 2007 Final Four team. We're a different basketball team, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, as we plan and we prepare, we got to look at who we've got and get them to do the things that they can do and do as well as they possibly can.
Absolutely, and that's my takeaway. I mean, that's powerful.
Still ahead on the Retirement Halftime Show, what you need to know about conventional mortgages. They may be harder to get, but they can save you money. and the basics of estate planning, how to get started on crafting yours. And we all know it's important to have an emergency fund, but too many of us don't have one. How to stop the excuses and get saving. Ahead on the Retirement Halftime Show.
Retirement isn't a game to lose. Your financial future hinges on every play. Follow Alexander Joyce in the Rejoice Financial Playbook to score the points that set you up for life. Win at retirement by calling 317-903-9157 and schedule a no-cost, no-obligation visit to get your retirement game plan in order. Don't lose where it counts the most. Call 317-903-9157 to schedule a visit now.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by Rejoice Financial.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I am your host, Alexander Joyce. With me today is Tim Ayers. We are talking mortgages. We get a lot of questions, Tim, as you know. I do, you do. When I get the questions, I'm always asking you, so you get them all. The differences between mortgages. Should people be getting an FHA, a conventional? They've been in the service. Is a VA good for them, right? They're farmers. What kind of things should they get? And so I wanted to jump in both feet, Tim, to conventional loans, conventional mortgages. Who they're for? How do they work? Right? What are the benefits? The disadvantages? Should we be looking at something different? Tell us a little bit about conventionals.
Well, conventional mortgages are generally generally easy to get. There's not a lot of differentiation between that and maybe an FHA, except the pricing is a little higher because they're not guaranteed by the U.S. government. But on the reverse side of that, their PMI is much lower because you're a much better qualified individual, qualified borrower. The credit scores on a conventional mortgages generally need to be in the 680s or better. I mean, we can go lower, but then the pricing gets a little worse. And so that's where a good mortgage broker will help you out and help you figure out which kind of mortgage would be better for you, a conventional or an FHA, maybe USDA or something like that.
Got it. So, I think that's exactly why we're doing this, because people are confused, right? And I think that the bottom line question, and we've got a form, for this to give to people. It's like, here, a conventional loan, here's the 3 things you need to know, right? Let's simplify this thing. FHA, 3 things you need to know, right? And so we can kind of get through this, uncertainty about which is best for me, right? Even I'm like, 3% is the max and 5%, I'm an investment guy, right? I look at numbers and I want to make sure that before I do something, the fundamentals are all there. Same thing goes with applying for an asset like your home. Right? I mean, It is an asset, and this is a big decision, a big choice. And to take on that amount of leverage or debt, we have to be certain about what we're doing. And so I really appreciate you kind of walking us through the steps of the differences in these mortgages. Is there any maybe top mind things that we should know about, again, conventional mortgages, Tim?
Yes. So, yes, rates are a little higher in conventional mortgages, but again, you're marrying your home. You're going to be in your home for a long term. You're dating your rate. You can break up your date, right?
Yeah.
And when rates come down, then you can lower your interest rate. And at that time, if you have some other debt that you would like to consolidate, you can lower your interest rate and get cash out and pay off your debt, and then maybe start investing some money. And who else to invest it with, right?
This guy.
Rejoice
right?
Financial.
Rejoice Financial. Thanks, Tim Ayers. You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. Stick around, folks. There's more show to come.
Still to come, getting started on estate planning. It's more than creating a will, but it doesn't have to be hard. We'll walk you through the steps next. Text Alexander today and schedule a visit to discuss your financial goals for tomorrow and beyond. Text 707-REJOICE.
Do you remember this? How about that? Do you remember? The journey to retirement hasn't always been easy. I'm Alexander Joyce. Let us build a retirement plan you can rely on, a financial plan that gives you confidence and peace of mind, a legacy plan that protects them, and let us start that process today. And let us help you rejoice in your retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by Rejoice Financial.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. I'm your host, Alexander Joyce, and with me today is attorney Alan Kowalski and our wealth strategist. And it's exciting because one of the things I'm really passionate about in our industry, Alan, and you know this, is estate planning, right? I always say that, you know, as we're building estate plans and going through our processes, whether that's, you know, tax planning, tax filing, estate planning, which we're going to touch on today, financial planning, wealth strategy, if you would, which you know a lot about in your background, if you would. Right. But I think there is, you know, when we start interviewing or talking to our clients about some of their needs and about some of their goals, estate planning is one that's always at the top. And I think it's also one that really nobody understands, right? It's like, do you have all these necessary documents in place, right? You've been married for 30 or 40 or 20 years, and you don't have just basic documents like powers of attorneys, let alone living wills, right? Or, and then we get into the complex strategies between what is the difference between a will and a trust. And so maybe, Alan, you know, just simply because this situation or this topic can get very comprehensive. And in our show, what I like to do is just make things very simple, palatable, if you will, tangible, because we want people to do something with this education. Right. Of course, in a show like this, a setting like this, especially talking about legal documents, I think it's very important to say, Alan, and you can probably agree, there are no recommendations, right? We were not here to give any recommendations. We're certainly not here to recommend what we believe anyone should do with this content, this education, if you will. I think opinions matter, and I think you and I both have very strong opinions and belief, especially when it comes to the philosophy of our practice. Of course, knowing the theme of our show being you wouldn't play a game the second half the same way you would the first, especially if you have the lead, right? The Retirement Halftime Show really drills that into people's hearts, and we believe in that. That is our mission, right? And that is our philosophy, the fundamentals of our practice, build a relationship. So maybe, Alan, just start at the top, right? You know, what is an estate plan?
What is estate planning? Thank you, Alex. You know, at the highest level, what I like to explain to clients when I first meet with them is estate planning is really, it's the idea of taking care of the people, the possessions of your property, and the purposes of the causes that you care about. You know, while you're healthy and you've got your, you know, you're healthy and you can make good decisions, how are you going to take care of yourself, your significant other, if you have one, your children, and then people outside your family, you know, charities that you might care about. It's just planning in advance for the inevitable, which, you know, to this point, everyone passes away, right, and for the possible. Many persons, as we get older, you know, you can end up losing capacity. So it's not just planning for death. We're also talking about planning for if you lose your mental capacity to make your own financial decisions or your own health decisions. Right. So at the highest level, we're helping people think these things through. You know, the clients know their families. We're getting to know their families. And so I do a lot of listening. You know, what is it that who are the people in your family? What are your cares? Who do you want to take care of? Who do you want to leave in charge to make decisions for you? Right. That's kind of the broad scope of this. Is pretty much how do you want to take care of your loved ones? Make things easy for them if you lose capacity or when you ultimately pass away.
Yeah, I think it's strong because I always tell people, you know, whether it's a one-on-one setting, Alan, or it's a group and there's 20, 30, or 1,000 people, right? Let's build a strategy and let's build a plan for living, not for dying, right? Right. And I think people, you know, the misconception with estate planning is, well, when is a will executed? Nobody wants to think about that, right? You have to be ultra rich and ultra wealthy to have a trust, and I think that's a misunderstanding, right?
It is. It's
more so what you want your assets and your wealth, your money and stuff, right, to do for you without your physical existence, you know? Right. What do you want this stuff to do, right? And I think that for me, a part of having a guy like you on the team, right? And to me, I'm really passionate about this, is we built this holistic approach. You know, we built this, what my clients call a one-stop shop, where they can come in and they can definitely judge us, right? Because there's a lot of firms out there like that, but there aren't too many, none that I know of that you can walk into, talk to a guy like you, right? A wealth strategist and an attorney. Talk to a tax advisor and a tax filer, whether it be a CPA or pure advice. Talk to your financial planner and your wealth advisor, and all in one place. And then at this point, I think it's very important to know, most people would think that's got to be very expensive, right? I mean, what does something like that cost? And I think it's really cool because we built this strategy and we built this process with cost in front, right? And it doesn't cost anything for our clients to come in, talk to you, talk to me, or talk to any member of our team. And in fact, our cost, being a fee-only fiduciary firm, is the same as any, I would hope, any fiduciary in our industry, right? The national average, right? I mean, the SEC looks over that, Don't change the station, folks. You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show. We'll be right back.
There's some things in life we can always get back. Money, that's one of them. But time, that can never be replaced. Your kids, grandkids, they don't care how big your house is or the type of car you drive. The time they spend with you, that's what matters most. Allow us to help take your financial concerns away so you can enjoy the more important things in life. Call us today at 317-903-9157. Schedule a no-obligation visit and rejoice in your retirement.
I'm Alexander Joyce, President, CEO of Rejoice Financial. Getting the education you need for a successful retirement is key. That's why I've written my second book, Rejoice in Your Retirement, Everything You Need to Know to Get Everything You Want. The book covers topics like identifying the income gaps, new ideas for investing, taxes and retirement, your legacy beyond dollars and cents, and much more. I've written this in an easy to understand format so that just about anyone can get the most out of it. To get a copy of Rejoice in Your Retirement, Everything You Need to Know to Get Everything You Want, you can go to Amazon. But if you're one of the first callers, you can get a complimentary signed copy of this book just by scheduling a no-cost, no-obligation visit. This book is packed with information that will help you get the most out of your retirement years. If you want to know more about successful retirement strategies, then call now. Education is key. And let us help you rejoice in your retirement.
You're watching the Retirement Halftime Show, powered by Rejoice Financial.
Today's tip of the week for stronger financial health. If the past few years have taught us anything, it's the importance of having an emergency fund. The unknown can cause a lot of stress, and having some money set aside for the future can ease our minds. If you don't have an emergency fund, now is the time to start building one. Start by putting $10, $50, or $100 a month in a separate savings account. Ideally, you want 3 to 6 months worth of expenses set aside. It can be used for an unexpected job loss or untimely expenses. But remember, if you use part of your emergency fund, you'll need to replace it. And if your monthly expenses go up, you'll want to increase the amount saved in your emergency fund. Today's tip of the week for stronger financial health.
Rejoice in your retirement with Rejoice Financial. Now, let's say your doctor told you need a major surgery. Well, it might be a good idea to get a second opinion. If a mechanic told you your car needs an expensive repair, you might get a second opinion. Well, is your retirement performing like you think it should? Hey, if not, why not get a second opinion on that? I mean, after all, your retirement is important. Tell you what you do. Call Alexander Joyce at Rejoice Financial. Now, Alex's number is 317-903-9157. Look, Alex will always make sure your retirement is performing to meet your needs, and it costs absolutely nothing to get that second opinion. Alex and his staff, first thing they'll do, they'll get to know you and your needs. Don't retire with just enough to get by. Rejoice in your retirement with Rejoice Financial.
Thank you for watching the Retirement Halftime Show. If you have questions about today's show, give us a call, send us a text, or go to our website. Most importantly, maintain your lead in retirement. I'm Alexander Joyce, and I'll see you next time.